Okay, welcome back to our flat track motor. Right, with the piston hitting, and it's actually indented the head quite, it's like a little razor blade there, it's hit it that hard. So there's a good chance, and the owner actually suspected that perhaps the exhaust valve has been twatted. Is that the right word for it? Interference with the piston and the valve. That's probably a more technical. Right, okay, so the owner carried out a fluid test on fluid down the inlet valve port and see if you've got any weepage past the valve. Apparently there was none on that valve. So I tried the same test on the exhaust and there was on the exhaust. So fluid down the exhaust port and it actually weeped past the seat. Now, well, one or two things happening there. It's either the seat that's damaged and worn that wants a, either a slightly cut back in or a valve grind, or it has actually twatted the valve. Now, okay, I'm trying to get a definitive answer on this, and at the minute I'm actually struggling. Let me show you what I've got. I've got me togs out today. It's that bloody cold, I'll tell you. Right, because I want the valve lifted off its seat just a bit in its normal range of operation, I need to kind of, and generally just use a couple of nuts to hold that fit the stem. Just hold the valve off its seat, touch the guide. Okay, so down we go with the nuts on, lift up our dial gauge, and then just let the gauge touch. So now you see she's sat down on the nuts. Okay, so now Yamaha state that valve guide wear is 4 thou, 0.1. So if I go try and get it in the plane, that plane that the it's 0.13. Now at this stage it's slightly over spec what Yamaha are stating. The valve guide wear certainly in the exhaust valve, slightly over. Now the wear can be in two places, can't it? It can be on the valve itself, the stem of the valve. It can be on this stem to a degree, and also in the valve guide itself. So until I measure the valve, I'm not sure where that wear is, but I personally, at that, so if I zero it, we'll try and get it there. Okay. Yeah, just over what Yamaha are saying it is. Now, okay, you could read it, go by the book and say, okay, then valve guides need replacing, but, for the use of the engine and, I personally would go, I don't know, I mean, I'm going to have to put this to the owner. I'm not going to make a decision for him. I'll put this to the owner and let him decide what he wants to do with it. But, so, what I'm trying to do now is, because we've got that bit of wear in there, so if we keep it on 0, now what I'm trying to do is, obviously these are made, in a lathe and machined, but there will be a degree of, what's the word in here, degree of sort of, I mean, you'd think that they'd be absolutely concentric to this shaft at that face, but to what accuracy, if you get what I mean. So let's just have a look. So if I try and push just down without getting the camera in the way and rotate the valve, just see if that's still clear. Not really. I'm going to rotate it like that. I'm trying not to move it up or down into a wear zone, just literally rotate. So as you can see now, we've got best part of 0.3. So let's see if this tallies up. Let's just see if this tallies up and comes back round again, or it's actually just the wear that is moving. So that point there, we're going to say is our low point. Okay, so if we zero, mind you, let's just go around again. Let's just go around again. Same rotation, it's actually dropping back. I have cleaned the edge of this up with some Scotch-Brite, that's all, not anything that would remove any metal, just Scotch-Brite. So we're back to 0. And where's our little scribed mark? Well, our scribed mark is down here now, exactly 180 degrees from our point that we're reading. So if I carry on and go this way again, it's starting to rise. So the point's there, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but the point's there to our peak point, which is there, and we're back again. Now, I don't think that is movement in the guide at all that we're seeing here. So we're zeroed here, 1, 2, 3, 0.3. So 4, 8, 12, 12th hour. Did it get kissed as the piston's chasing the exhaust valve back up? Remember, the the inlet valve wasn't in play anywhere near it, because the inlet valve starts to open, okay, just as the piston's coming up, or just as it's kind of on the rock over the top on overlap. So the actual valve chases the piston down, but vice versa, the piston chases the exhaust valve up to finish the exhaust phase. Okay, so this is constantly retracting back to its seat as the piston's getting ever closer, and with the gap missing that the needle rollers in the big end have gone, the piston's a little bit further up. So did it, we said we wouldn't use the word twat, so did it interfere with the valve? Now what I'm going to do, I know for a fact we've got a 0.3 difference here. Now, is that in manufacture or is that actually bent? I'm going to hold judgment on that, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do the inlet valve. We know the inlet valve seated, and we know the inlet valve didn't get interferenced. Okay, so what we're going to do, set up the inlet valve the same. The end of that is just slightly tight in the, it's a bit wet and dry on there. Just for some reason there's a little bit of a burr on the end of that valve. Can actually see if this picks that up. Try and get it in that zone of the silver on the head. I don't know if you're going to see that, but there is a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be too close, but yeah, that just wants like stoning off that. So right, I'm going to get set up to I mean, to finish off, what we could do here is we could actually try and lap that valve in. Certainly if this has got the same amount of around point deviation on the face of the valve here. So if we get set up to do an inlet valve measurement, then we can kind of make the call on whether we're going to have a pair of valves in it, or we're going to have a go at lapping that valve in. Okay, pick it up in a minute. Okay, just got set back up on the inlet valve. Same couple of nuts spacing it open. It's got the head sat. It's quite a mass to this head, so once you've got it sat there, it doesn't really want to move. And I think if you watch the gauge now, there's 0.1, 0.1.5. But it doesn't make any sense the amount it's going up in the same area, which, I mean, it wouldn't be bent then not, then bent then not in that area. So it's either a bit of carbon. You see the way that turns like that, there's a lump there, there's a bit of carbon or something there, as you can see on the, so, and again, in the same guide, let's just try it in the same guide, that's all we need. All we're using the guide for is we're just using the guide for, you know, a spindle, if you like, so we can measure the head. So even though it's in the exhaust, sorry, the inlet port, let's just put that in there and try the same deal on this valve again in here. Right, okay, I'm going to have to move some reason that's not wanting to play. Let's just get it set up. Not touching that dowel, are we? That's about right. Okay, so let's just have another look. Yeah, I think, do you know what, there's not a lot in it. There really isn't a lot in it. It's running perfectly on the head of the valve there. Yeah. In here we're showing 1.2, 0.2, so what we're looking at, 0.14, 0.28, sort of 12 tenth thou deviation, which is, if we turn it faster, you actually see the plunger moving in and out, and you can actually see that plunger moving in and out. So I'm making the call on this that it wants a valve in it. Yeah, you can actually even see it. Now we're rotating round in there. So that's that. Job done. Definitive. No guessing. No guesswork. Feels alright, looks alright. We're not pissing around with it anymore. That needs we need an exhaust valve. We're going to get away with an inlet valve. And on the same note here, if I just move to here, look what's come in the post. Right, have a quick look and put him back in his box. So, nice sticker, hey? We've got everything here, gaskets and stuff that we need. All up there, new head gasket, as we've said before, main bearings. The crank is away as we speak. The crank is away. So, you know, they've actually given me around a 3-week lead time on the crank, which, alright, it's, could be worse, could be 6 weeks. So, anyway, new pin. We'll do a measurement on this as well, but new pin, new gudgeon pin, new set of circlips. So it actually comes, let's have a look. The rings are all in the bottom there. Okay, and let's have a look. Right, wow, nice, nice, nice. Look at that. I bet that initially feels better in there already. So you have to forgive me shitty clothes, it's bloody freezing in here, so I've got my own work clothes on. Even that already feels nicer in there. Yeah. So, we could do some comparisons on old piston to this one as well, just do a few measurements, just sort of visually see, and yeah, there we go, look at that. There we go, perfect. Right, get a wrap back up again, put away, and we're nearly there when we bring that back out of the box again. So there we go, new piston, job's a good one. Okay, pick it up when we know a little bit more.